This was not the first sighting of a UFO that I've had, but it was the first telepathic experience with a sighting. This happened about 2 years ago, and never since or before.
I'll bet that the UFO looked like a very small ball or tiny point of brilliant white light. I'll bet you $10.
Well, yes. Like a very bright, very round white LED low-flying light. How do you know that? Have you had a similar experience? I've seen this type of craft, if it was a craft, several times before. Sometimes they look like balls of burning magnesium, they're that bright. They fly like insects, like fireflies, meandering at varying speed through the air instead of following a straight path at a steady speed.
Yep, I've had 2 encounters about 18 years apart. They aren't craft, they're entities. I won't bother to explain in detail how I learned this, but after a lot of research and work in the occult and putting things together and just having a famous magician clue me in, I know what they are. Some spiritual traditions call them fairies, because they're ethereal tricksters, and the Fae legends ultimately come from human encounters with them. Kabbalists have given them the name that I prefer, Angels of Malkuth, meaning fallen angels bound to the material realm. The Watchers in the Book of Enoch are essentially another legend about them, with a whole bunch of salacious fanfic thrown in for storytelling spice. The crucial detail in that book is that God bound them to the valleys of the earth, which is correct based on my observation. The 2 times I've encountered them, and in the reliable reports about them you can read, they seem to be intimately associated with natural bodies of water at the base of mountains. I'll bet you another $10 your house is in the countryside with a stream, river, or lake not far off. How did I figure out that's what you saw? The telepathy. They are astonishingly powerful telepaths and can read minds at huge distances. The rule of thumb is that if you can see one, no matter how far away it is, it knows what you're thinking as clearly as if your thoughts were on a 500-foot-tall illuminated billboard. The ones I saw didn't put thoughts into my head, but their behavior made very clear they knew what I was thinking. The first one made a point of it by the way it behaved. It wanted me to know. So what was that all about? Why did it do what it did? What was the point? And why do I prefer to call them Angels of Malkuth as opposed to fairies or living lights or whatever? 1. My second encounter was precipitated by a Kabbalist summoning one. 2. Kabbalists have the best understanding of their behavior and intent. 3. Those intentions are very subtle, manipulative, and evil, and they're a lot smarter and more potent than the picture of fairies most people have in their minds. They're basically hyper-intelligent and have a kind of limited omniscience, or at least very clear knowledge of past and future, as well as very deep insight into the psychology of anyone who encounters them. They don't just know the thoughts flowing through your mind at the moment. They know everything in your mind and understand the way you're going to react to them, far into your personal timeline. They understand how seeing one will change your perspective and alter your behavior in the future, and what you end up doing much further on in life was their goal in the first place. If you see one, it's already accomplished what it wanted farther down the road, as you can't second-guess them. Don't even bother trying, that'll drive you crazy. Its goal in communicating with you and having you look at it will be highly specific, and chances are you won't guess its intent until you do a kind of self-inventory and figure out how that experience influenced you. Most people will never have a clue about how it affected their lives, but they do. You personally may not even have been the primary party it was concerned with, so angel kind of fits if you think of angels as beings containing a fraction of the power and wisdom of the Creator. Maybe they can move mountains or raise cities too, but it seems they prefer playing extremely subtle games, at least by our standards. Their activities probably seem straightforward to beings as smart as they are.
I know these entities. They visited me often as a kid. I have strong reason to believe they saved my life on multiple occasions, and I have strong reason to believe they still hang around me frequently, especially the last few weeks. Maybe disclosure is related? But started before the whole disclosure media whirlwind. I know a few things, like that they are not native to this universe, they're native to a different type of physical plane, but can interact physically when they need to, just not through the means we're used to. They're very, very old, very, very strong, but they're benevolent. Not just to humanity, just in general. Unless you're a real bastard, they're usually beneficial to have around. They have their hands in a lot of different pots. Our universe is one of several they interact with. They are not bound to realities with compatible physics for their physical bodies. They tend to watch more than anything else. They've been doing this for a real long time. You probably won't ever see more of them than a ball of light. What you could see wouldn't make a lot of sense to you. They're made of different stuff, literally. But unless you're committing atrocities, they mean you do no harm. Mass death and suffering angers them a lot.